To our top story in the lead today. In a stunning admission, it's rarely seen from any politician in South Africa today, ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa has conceded that Democratic Alliance-run municipalities, like Cape Town, are outperforming those governed by the African National Congress. Ramaphosa told thousands of the ANC's ward councillors attending roll call at the FNB Stadium in Soweto this week that it's high time that they prioritise service delivery or watch their party perish. Well, our News 24 Deputy Politics Editor Bongekile Macupe has been following the president's speech and, of course, all the political reaction for us. She joins us live now in our Randburg studios. Danko, Bongekile.
Hi, thank you for featuring me, Graeme.
Yeah, baby. I love it. This is the energy I want on the lead. I'm so looking forward to our debut chat together. How many of these ANC ward councillors rocked up at the FNB Stadium? I saw a couple of guys in town wearing the ANC regalia at the local hotel in Randburg that I was staying at, and somebody at the front desk told me it was just the Northwest guys, and I was thinking, they've got a lot to really think about when it comes to the state of municipalities.
Absolutely.
Our colleagues have exposed this.
Yeah.
So how many of these ANC ward councillors
So
were there?
there was about 4.5 of these councillors from all over the country that traveled to Gauteng and were met with the leadership of the ANC, including the president, as you said in your intro, at FNB Stadium. Yeah.
He was quite clear and frank about many things, and I don't think we've ever seen Ramaphosa this frank before. He says the ANC needs to survive, and in order to do so, ward councillors must actually pull thumb for a change and ensure service delivery.
I think if you follow President Cyril Ramaphosa, I think inherently he's a nice human being. And I think sometimes when you followed his speeches, you are almost irritated and agitated to say, can you lead? Can you be the boss? And I think what happened on Monday yesterday was I don't think many of us have seen that side of President Cyril Ramaphosa, especially when he speaks to his comrades. He was very firm. He was very direct about what the issues are. And he didn't, he didn't beat about the bush. And I think for me, and it's a conversation that we heard here in the newsroom, is that it's not the first time that those 4,000 councillors heard what he had said, but I think what has been the discomfort was how it was said, because it was an open session. Maybe they would have loved to have it behind closed doors, that the public is not exposed to how their president spoke. But he was very firm. He was very direct, and I think it's something that needed to be said.
Of course, the News 24 front page had the rolling coverage in the live blog. I love that. It's one of the hallmark tenets of News 24, because you can actually see things in black and white in terms of the text. And it's a very nice sort of like roundup of the main points that he had shared. This was quite funny. And I was like, really? He was like, Ramaphosa basically stated that South Africans are quite amenable and that we're happy when government provides services finally. I mean, that's the bare minimum.
It's the bare minimum, Graeme, and there's been such a lot of discourse happening from yesterday to today about the service delivery, and I think for me, at the heart of it is just deliver basic services. That is what we ask for. I am a ratepayer myself. I stay in the city of Johannesburg. I pay taxes. And for me, when I drive outside of my street and I have to navigate potholes, can you imagine what that feels? So I think more than anything, the basic South Africans just want services. And I think that's what the president was communicating. That's what Rev Chikane was communicating, to say, the reason you are in these positions, it's not for vibes. People want services. People want a clean Johannesburg. They don't want a clean Johannesburg because the G20 summit is coming. They want a clean Johannesburg because they pay rates and taxes. And you know how the city of Johannesburg, for example, will hound you when you do not pay. I know because I've been there. They will hound you. They will come and cut you off because you didn't pay. So why should we as South Africans or ratepayers be understanding when we do not receive the services that we should receive and that we pay for?
Yeah, 100%. Look, I'm a Cape Townian through and through. I love to get schooled by my Josie counterparts. I have spent time reporting in Josie before on many occasions, but coming back now, driving through like parts of Marlville, I'm genuinely like shocked.
Yeah.
Many of the shops are boarded up, old cafes that are no longer there. Things are a little bit rough around the edges, more so than ever before. And, you know, I love coming back for that energy in the Josie air, but it just feels like things are just falling by the wayside more than ever before, and I don't know how else to explain it.
It's so, you know, someone was sharing something earlier about how when Amos Masondo was still the mayor of Johannesburg, and that was like in the early 90s or 200 to
late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah,
exactly. We're speaking about how, you know, he was able to tar all the roads in Soweto but still was servicing other parts of Johannesburg. And the thing about Johannesburg, Graeme, is the fact that it does not matter what your address is. Right? It does not matter where you live. You could be living in the most expensive suburb in Bryanston and still go for 2 days without water. You could be living in Orange Farm, or you could be living in Soweto and still have sewer running down the street, right? So there is just no service delivery at all. Have you been to the CBD?
Tomorrow, either tonight or tomorrow or by the weekend before I leave, I want to just drive through Hillbrow. I've been there for 1 or 2 stories in the past. George Corsey's legendary boxing gym, I've interviewed in there before, but I want to just go and see things again. Is it bad?
You can't. I think you have to put like maybe 5 masks because you can't even breathe. That's how filthy the Johannesburg CBD. And what do we say? We say this is a world-class city, and of course it's complex. I think the city of Johannesburg has many nuances about it, about the fact that, you know, there's a lot of influx of people here. So I do want to sympathize a little bit to say maybe, you know, the powers that be can get quite overwhelmed, especially when you want to deal with, you know, how do you get the city of Johannesburg or the CBD right? And
Dada Marero's got a big budget.
Exactly. But at least, let's say you are going to deal with, people litter and, but at least maybe let's have the roads functioning again. Like, let's say, there must be at least, there is a lot of dirt around the city of Johannesburg, but at least the roads are tarred. There are no potholes. It is, you know, I frequent the CBD because I do shop at Small Street. Okay.
Which is the fashion mile, right?
Yeah.
It's with all the fashion stores. Yes.
So I do shop there, guys. And it
I mean, you're getting bang for your buck.
You know, sometimes you're like, where am I? Like, what part of the country? Like, you ask yourself as a South African walking in the city of Johannesburg to say, where am I? Is this South Africa? Because the filth, the smell, the potholes, everything has fallen down. And we say this, and I think we have to be fair. And I think because of the city of Johannesburg and what it represents in the country widely, that is why there's a lot of focus on it. But we have to be fair and say that the city of Johannesburg is not the only metro or the only municipality that has fallen apart. I studied in Gqeberha. I spent 4 years in Gqeberha. I stayed in Port Elizabeth, and I tell you, I stayed there under the mayorship of Nxeba Fakwe at the time, Nondomiso Mapazi, who just passed away a few months ago.
Sure.
And I can tell you, I used to frequent what is now Kariega, which is Etinaga at the time, and things worked. Right. And I am not saying there are books that have been written about how the people, that administration, it had its own issues. I am not discounting that, but I am saying, as a person who lived in that city for 4 years, things worked. Summer Strand was top class. It was clean. You wanted to go to the beaches. The robots were working. Humud was gorgeous. it was sparkling. You would go to Etinaga and it was clean. You didn't see rubbish on the side of the road. You would go to New Brighton, the robots were working. I frequent NMB, Nelson Mandela Bay, because I still have friends there. It's so dull, Graeme. I don't know how to explain it. It's so dull. You drive to Summerstrand, which is supposedly one of the top suburbs in Port Elizabeth. The robots are not working. Things are just unkept. You go to New Brighton, in one of the oldest townships in NMB, there is piles and piles of rubbish along the road. The robots are not working. So literally, and we had the conversation with the colleagues in the newsroom one day to say, guys, if you can think, let's not be unfair on the ANC, right? Can you think of one municipality where things work? And you can't. You can't, Graeme. It's like, but what you can think Mfuleni, you can think Mirafong, you can think Mfuleni, you can think Dijobotla, you can think the city of Mangaung, which is
good example. Very Mangaung's great example.
As municipalities that can't work, there is no municipality that comes to you that says it works. So I think what the president of the ANC said to those councillors yesterday was the absolute truth. Do I think that it was the first time they've heard it? It was not, but it stinked because we were, as the public, were then allowed into the father laying down the law.
Wow,
it's like you
100%.
It's like you, if your parents want to discipline you, you wouldn't want your father to go stand in front of the assembly at school or come here at News 24 and tell us that,
yes, that's an excellent
point.
That
Graeme doesn't pick up
point.
Himself. He leaves the toilet seat up, or you wouldn't want that.
No, absolutely not. You'll be chastised.
Right, Dad, let's have this in. So I think I think more than anything, the outrage is because why did he say that in public? But also, and I don't want to preempt what you are going to say, but also the opposition is running away with this.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
So, look, the AG's findings, the writings have been on the wall for the longest time. Everybody knows that, City of Cape Town, most of the DA-led run municipalities within the Western Cape have had clean audits. The last audit findings have about 20 audits, the most in any province in the country, where finances are accounted for, which is in the Western Cape. The DA likes to say that is the biggest green flag that it has in its arsenal of ensuring that service delivery happens. We can get into the weeds and obviously have a bigger discussion, which the DA does not like, about the fact that mostly black majority areas, a la townships of Cape Town, are underserviced. The DA doesn't like that conversation, right? So here we have the president coming out and saying, hey, you need to do better, guys. The DA has been doing really great for a really long time. And you so excellently put out that it feels like a public chastisement. Analysts are sort of saying, finally, we're getting some proper reality from the president. And I'm quite chuffed with that, because hopefully it can be sort of a beacon for us getting on with the work. Does this signal the ANC start of its local government elections campaign to next year?
Of course, they did say that the over the weekend they had that special NEC, and mainly what they were discussing there was local government, and then the extension was the ANC roll call. So you can see that they are panicked because, you look at last year's election, I don't think they anticipated. Their leaders have said that they did think that they were going to lose power, but not to that degree.
Right.
So they already know what's coming, right? So they need to plan, and they need to do all of these things that they are doing. But I think for me, Graeme, it's planning and talking. We can do all that, my bruh.
There's a war plan now. Oh, we've heard about this before.
Listen, my bruh, we can plan, we can do, but it comes to
The brass tacks.
Right. Are people getting services? That's what it comes down to.
100%.
And the ANC has been talking about renewal and whatever. Is there anything with you and me here sitting having a conversation that has given you an indication that this is a party that is on the path of renewal? There isn't, right? And
we've heard a lot of these plans before, they just have different titles.
And then now you come and say we are sitting down, we are talking, let's plan for 2026. I would even say it's quite too late.
I agree with you 110%.
I would say it's quite too late.
The entropy is so bad, the rot is so bad, it's going to take you more than elections are going to be held later in 2026. So what? At best, they've got 9 months. No.
And it's not that for me, and for me, Graeme, it's not that you haven't had an indication that if you don't fix your house, this is what's going to happen. I never mind what happened in 2021. We talk when Nelson Mandela Bay, when they lost Nelson Mandela Bay, that should have been a big indication at that point. Literally right now, I think the only municipality in the entire maybe Eastern Cape, for example, or a metro that the ANC currently governs alone is BCM. In East London, Tanzania, and Ikonce and the likes. And even that one is not functioning. I mean, the other time we wrote a story about how councillors were howling at each other in a council meeting, right? So they've had indication. The ANC has not been has not been without tangible evidence of what if we do not fix our house, we are going to lose power. 2021, you lose the majority of municipalities. One of the most strategic municipality, the city of Johannesburg, is being governed through a coalition. So you have
might not be a coalition forever,
right? You have evidence and evidence and evidence, but also you speak about the AG. Literally, you can, when you read the AG's report each and every year, Graeme, you can remove 2024, 2025 and put 2021, 2022. It's still the same picture. It's not changing in as far as the municipalities that are governed by the ANC are concerned. And yes, of course, the municipalities that are governed by the DA on paper, the AG says they are doing well. They get their books are in order, and but also I like that you said that the DA doesn't like to have this conversation.
Yes,
it's
they
well
really
and good.
don't.
It's well and good that the AG will say you are doing well. Great, and I frequent Cape Town. I go to Cape Town, the CBD, compared to what I was explaining earlier.
You can walk a little bit with yourself and out on certain streets.
You're right. Yeah. It's clean. The suburbs of Cape Town that I frequent, where my friends stay, are clean. Everything
I took my phone out in Marvel. The guy's car guard says to me, "Hey, put that thing away."
Right. So sewage is there's no sewer running on the streets. There's all of that. We know that, but we can never run away from the fact that we have two Cape Towns in one, right?
100%.
There's the other Cape Town on the other side of the mountain, right? That the DA doesn't like to talk about. The thing about the DA is that they have mastered the public relations of selling their story, right? And you can't take that away from them. But I went to...
They've even got their own podcast now.
Yeah, I went to Samora Machel in August last year. And I mean, when I'm in Cape Town, it's either I'm there for work, so there's nothing that will take me to the township. I was stunned. My head couldn't wrap around what I was seeing. I was literally saying, am I in Cape Town?
Yeah, is this the same reality as the old sort of northern suburbs, old southern suburbs, with brick and mortar homes? Is this the same level of service delivery with rubbish being left around? That sort of same situation.
I literally couldn't wrap my head around it. We had gone there to attend a funeral. The streets are so narrow. 2 cars can't drive. There is literally, as you step out of people's homes, there is raw sewer running, there is water gushing out. People have put bricks so that they can get out of there. Yeah. And this was in Cape Town. And I was like...
You basically, without even stating a name, I think of Nyanga with what you're basically stating.
Samora Machel, and it's like, what do you mean? Is this the DA? Is this the DA that always tells us that where we govern well?
But the argument will be, we have to redress apartheid spatial planning. That's always the argument.
No, No, but I mean, all of us have had time. How many years has the DA been in power?
Excellent
And
point.
the thing is, we do not extend the same grace to other parties when they take over power. We want instant results. And I said this last week in a different conversation about the murders that are happening in Cape Town, and every day someone is murdered.
The acting police ministers actually admitted they don't have a plan to
Right.
deal with gangsterism,
Yes, so-
which is a more than 200-year-old problem.
Right. So I was speaking in the context of every day people are being killed in the city of Cape Town, mainly in the city of Cape Town. And I was saying, I've never heard Alan Winde speaking about this. I've never heard Hill Lewis speak about this. And people were coming at me saying,
I did see your thread, by the way.
People were saying, police is a national competence. It's like, yes, you are telling me, I know that. But I was saying in the context of, we do not extend the same grace to other leaders. For example, in the Eastern Cape, when there were floods, the premier went to the initiation school to be with his kids because one of his kids has special needs, and there was a meltdown. How can he, when his province
he took special leave, right?
And people were saying,
we didn't know the reasons initially. I think,
and people were saying, but there are MECs who are there on the ground. And then my context with the Western Cape was saying that I am not saying that Alan Winde must say this is what we are going to do, but has he ever even given a press briefing as the leader of this province?
It's a good point
to say we are concerned about this. Have you ever seen him visiting any of those homes where mothers or have lost their children, or Hill Lewis visiting? We've never. And I was saying that we do not have the same scrutiny that we have to Western Cape leadership that we have across other provinces. It's the same even with service delivery. We will take what the DA tells us about where we govern well.
Can I give you my theory on this? Can I give you my theory on this?
Please.
Having covered it for such a long time in Cape Town, it's because the DA's media machine is so well oiled when it speaks to the city of Cape Town and the Western Cape. A lot of former journalists are now sitting in positions there. Great people need work. They need new challenges in life, not taking away from that. But you don't tell me they know how to spin a yarn?
Exactly. So that's the thing about the DA, like their PR, they've sold us this dream and a lie that where they govern well, but it's the thing, like where you govern in the affluent suburbs, in the suburbs where the digital nomads are staying, you govern well so that you give them this false sense that they are still in Europe while they are in South Africa. But on the other side of the mountain, it's a completely different story. The kids don't have parks to play to. You know, the grass is growing. There's sewer, there's raw sewer. But obviously on paper, yes, they govern well, and we can't take away that from him. We can't take away the work that Chris Papas is doing in Umgeni. And when he was very still active on social media, he will show us going in the villages of his constituency Umgeni, delivering or dealing with the roads there.
It's the door to door that is missing, and even Cyril Ramaphosa was saying that to the ANC ward councillors. It's like, what happened to that? Why are you tourists in your own areas? Why are you not going to, if somebody gets hurt or somebody is a victim of crime, why are you not going to the person's front door knocking and saying, how are you doing today? Why are councillors not on the ground, right? And I think that's kind of a bit of a universal problem. I don't hear about the councillor just to say he's a DA councillor in my particular area in Cape Town. I do send him issues that I find in my particular area, you know, if there's things that need to be attended to, but we don't see him in the area.
You don't see them, but your
sometimes there are no responses to anything that I get sent along. So is this not a universal problem? Is my point.
It is a universal problem. I stay in a DA-led ward. I've never seen my councillor. I don't know who they are, but I am in a WhatsApp group. And when you report issues are being attended to swiftly. But I also want to bring this point about, you know, councillors being on the ground and understanding what is happening in their wards, or, you know, councillors understanding what is happening in their municipalities. I come from the Eastern Cape, and I remember at some point in our village, or there was our ward councillor, once he got elected, he moved. and went and stayed in Umtata.
Sure. So that he's really a tourist in his own area,
right?
In his own constituency.
Yes, and it's not unheard of, especially in these small municipalities or small towns, that a councillor, because now money starts coming into your account, you are able to afford the finer things in life. You move from your constituency and you go and live. So you are not going to be in touch with what is on the ground. But I think generally, not even with councillors, generally our politicians are not in touch with what is happening on the ground. And that is why sometimes many of them are usually shocked when they see these things, or when they go and do door to door. They're gonna do door to door now. It's 2021. They're gonna do, and many of them are going to express shock at what is on the, because one, Graeme, if you are driven around the country, you don't know how much petrol is. You have two houses that are paid for in Cape Town and Gauteng.
Are you describing the deputy president now?
No, but I'm saying all of them. If you are a minister or
Yes.
deputy minister, you have those two homes, and also like you have, even to an extent of the someone who's looking after your house being paid for by the state.
Sure.
You are not in touch with the reality of
No.
what we are having to face. You don't know how much petrol is.
How rates have gone up exponentially,
No, you
especially in
don't.
Cape Town. It's
You don't.
amongst the highest it's ever been.
So I think like politicians.
My rates bill's almost, it's past over 2,000 Rand.
In the
Bongekile.
great sense of in South Africa, politicians are the elite. Isn't it crazy?
100%,
Because they
yeah.
say, "Oh, we our people," and whatever. But no, we are not your people, because you don't understand our struggles.
And
So
the middle class is getting smaller, and the tax base
Exactly.
is getting
Elites,
smaller.
The elite in South Africa are politicians. That includes, by extension, councillors, because they are also politicians. It might not be in the scale of, a minister or a deputy minister or a mayor or a premier, but they are also in the elite, right? And I think more than anything, then there needs not be this outrage about Cyril Ramaphosa saying to his comrades that you need to pull your socks up, or Rev Chikana saying don't steal, don't say you are stealing from
ANC's
government.
lucky to still have the reverend. I'm being honest with you,
don't
as an elder.
Don't say you are stealing from the council. When you are stealing from the council, you are stealing from the people. It means if you steal, people in my village of Shankomo are not going to have roads. And you think, who do you think the council is? Is it an invisible someone? It's not invincible. It's us people who demand services that are not getting services. So this outrage about, you decampaign. Yeah, maybe politically it wasn't the greatest strategy, because the DA, of course, being the DA, they are going to run with it.
Yes,
You've seen Helen
it's already
Zille.
on their social
You've
media
seen
pages.
last night already.
Mm.
All of their ministers were showing Helen Zille, who is campaigning to be the mayor of this.
Apparently, it's going to be announced this weekend.
Yes. Oh, yeah. On 20th, we have someone there. So following News 24, we are going to have a live.
That's it.
We are going to give you the blow to blow. Helen Zille was campaigning to be the mayor of she's already has a campaign tag to run away, to say even the president of the ANC say, where we govern, things are better. So try me.
It's an easy motto.
Right? So
easy slogan.
In that regard, I think strategically, from a political point of view, it does kind of like put the ANC in the back. What's the English word?
On the back foot.
On the back foot, because now people are.
I love how you're bringing this home so lovely.
Because people are gonna be like, yeah, well, I mean, but your president said. But also, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to translate to votes. But the DA is going to milk this for all it's worth, and we will see when. And they will. I said to someone on social media, they are going to milk it until the last vote is counted on that day of the elections. Because they've literally found something to run away with. Like, know
it's a big slogan. You're 100%.
The DA.
But I'm also getting like, given the timing of the president's speech, it really feels like he's got nothing left to lose, because it is his final term. Yeah. He's not going to be re-elected unless they change the constitution overnight, right?
I said the same thing about Gwede Mantashe in the comment he made to the councillors when they were singing that, you are singing about content dololo. I said also these people no longer, like, I mean, I think Gwede Mantashe has already said that he's not going to be standing for
Apparently he's a PhD candidate.
Yeah, he's not going to be standing for any position. We know the ANC constitution says
he's going to be doing his PhD.
We know the ANC constitution says the president can't have a third term, but I don't think because they belong to this party, I don't think it's their intentions to want to destroy it and to want to kill
Of course.
it. But I just think, I mean, also I just think things needed to be said. But I think more than anything, like we were saying, the thing is, he's likely got nothing to lose.
Because he even said to the councillors, Bongekile, just to sort of end off, we're having such a lacquer chat. He even says, if you're involved in corruption now, it's better to walk away now because we're going to come after you. I also found that very casual like.
It is casual, and we know that he's not going to come after anyone. In fact, if you read our story this morning that Siamtanda wrote, who covered...
it's her birthday today,
yes,
right? Happy birthday, Siamtanda.
Siamtanda, I love you, girl. She in her story actually that she wrote today, she speaks about when the president was speaking about corruption. She then mentions all the people that were seated with him on the podium,
the actual cabinet,
who in his cabinet or in the NEC who have allegations of corruption. She names Senzo Mchunu was there, Tembi Simelane was there, the deputy president was there, and all these people who have scandals. As this man himself, by the way, the Pala thing. I mean, I think our colleague Alex Mitchley wrote about how
the headline reads, the witness has come forth and stated that Ramaphosa was full aware of the money in the couch.
So I don't necessarily, I think some of these things, it's nice when you speak about them and you say, we are clamping down on corruption, or we are coming for you.
We've heard it countless times.
We know that you are not coming for anyone for corruption. But I think what happened was quite sobering. Even for those councillors. I mean, I think there's this video where they are such in a somber mood. They are not singing after Gwede had said. So I think they caucused and said, we are not going to sing. Like they are sulking. It's like me when my 7-year-old daughter, I tell her stop that and then she sulks.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it shouldn't even come to a point where someone is saying to you, Graeme, look at what Bongekile is doing. Do better. It's like us. Every day when you come to work, you know that you have to produce a podcast. No one has to push you. Your bosses don't.
100%.
When I come here, I know that I have a job to do. So why is it that you must be told how to do your job, or even for me?
It's a lack of accountability,
Bongekile, benchmark. Look at what EWN is doing and emulate, because they. I know. I work up every day. I am coming to work. I get paid. I think we should bring that to that pedestrian level. When you are a Dada Morero, or when you are
a Jordan Hill Lewis, or
whoever you are, when you wake up in the morning, you kiss your wife goodbye, you kiss your husband goodbye, you say goodbye to your children. You are going to work. What is it that you are doing? And if there are people in the organization, because I think politicians are easily attacked, or they get the flag because they are the face, right? But if they are in the departments or in your municipality, people who are not pulling up their weight, like the Ramaphosa said yesterday, deal with them. You have the powers. You are empowered by the law, even by the labor laws. Get the people who can do the job, man.
And stop cooking the books, he says. Which I think is a stunning admission based on how we started this discussion with the situation in the Northwest and the revelations coming out there from the parliamentary oversight body that was led by Dr. William Kize. That was just, oh my word, the shocking revelations of the councils there. I can't believe how bad it's gotten. I mean, actual councils hijacked by gunmen. You've got 2 different councils, 2 different mayors, 2 different speakers, 2 different deputy mayors, all vying for different positions in these councils.
Graeme was processing Siamtanda's stories, and I would literally stop and text her. I was like, are you sure? Is this? And she'd be like, yes. That's what. How do you have 40 Ingabis running the municipality? And demanding to be paid. How do you have an official who has moved from a municipality in Mpumalanga, moved to come to a municipality in Gauteng, who has been arrested, is fingered in corruption everywhere where she goes, but she continues to get jobs? How do we...
Whilst the small towns are dying.
How do we even begin to... How is it that we are still talking about Dijobotla now?
100%.
And ongoing story. I think as far back as 2021,
Correct.
we've been speaking about Etibo Jobotla, who's got 2 administrative heads, who's got 2 bank accounts or whatever. How are we still speaking about this even now?
Yeah.
Why are these things not being sorted and we actually give services to people? And I think the story that is missing, and I'm hoping that we can do it as News 24, is to actually go and spend a week in Dijobotla
Yeah, I'll put my hand up there. I'll join you guys.
and say, if this mess is happening, are people even being serviced? And the likelihood is that they are not going. How is it that we are still speaking about Mfuleni? How many stories have been written about Mfuleni? I can think back to maybe 2009 when we've been writing stories about Mfuleni and how Siwa is literally Rosua of
And
the
Mangaung, one of the other capitals of this country, which has been under national administration, and even despite that remains in the red because they're overspending their budgets because there's a culture of just give me.
Right. How are we still speaking about this? And also another point that comes to mind, Graeme, that I want to raise before we wrap up is the president speaking about, look at what the DA is saying. I think we've covered that. But also the president was in Cape Town for January 8, in January. And there's a video of him having visited the townships of Cape Town where he was commenting about Rosua running on the streets of Cape Town. So it's also that sure, president, you can say that they must benchmark themselves, but are you saying they must also benchmark the fact that there are people that are not being
Damn,
saved?
that is an excellent point. I think let's end it right there. You've made it full circle, Bongekile. I really appreciate you. That's Bongekile Macupe. She's our deputy politics editor here at News 24. We met for the very first time today, lead listeners, and she's now like one of my favorite people to speak to on the show. And we will be having many more discussions because you bring the fire, and that's what I appreciate about it. It's that Eastern Cape fire. Huh?
Thank you, Graeme, for featuring me.
Perfect. Thanks, Bongekile.
Cheers.